Hello everybody, Webfest here and welcome to an episode of a pre-MSI breakdown. Today I'm joined by Obscurica and we are here to talk about the Mid-Season Invitational 2016 in Shanghai happening really soon. So for this episode we'll be actually focusing our efforts on talking about the Flash Wolves. We know that a lot of people are hyping or sometimes overhyping the Flash Wolves for MSI, and there doesn't seem to be much of an evidence whatsoever to back these statements up. So don't worry, we're here for you, and we're just here to provide the facts. And the fact is the Flash Wolves will rip their MSI Championship trophy from the SKT's cold dead hands. Well, first and foremost, we'll be talking about the Flash Wolves in terms of the team performance as well as the individual players. So what we have here is the Flash Wolves' stats in the regular season. They went 9-2-3, which means that they actually tied against Hong Kong Esports in week 4 and AHQ Esports Club in week 9. But that one didn't really matter, right? Because it was like, whatever, they were already locked into their spots in the playoffs anyway.
I would say at this point we can just ignore all of week 9 in terms of stats because by then both AHQ and the Flash Wolves were already qualified into their respective seeds. So the entire week was just thrown, man. It was just completely horrible to watch.
Hey,
I was excited too, right? This is AHQ versus the Flash Wolves again, but it didn't matter.
It didn't matter, yeah. But hey, the Flash Wolves did lose to TPA 0-2, right? In
How much
week
did they
9.
prep for TPA? How much did they care at that point?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so yeah, this is the stat line for the regular season. And well, when we look at the playoffs, well, we have a score of 6-0. Basically, they swept Marchi, which they didn't even expect to face, by the way. Marchi actually upset TPA to get into the semifinals, and then they just got destroyed by Flash Wolves. And we saw a repeat of that in the finals as well. AHQ just got bodied really hard. Nothing to say there. So, yeah, that's the team's overall stat line in the regular and playoff season. We'll look at their stats overall. Basically, Flash Wolves have upgraded themselves in a way from regular season to the playoffs. The only setbacks are like average game time and champion kills per minute, but well, it's still fine, right?
That's more of a reflection of the meta game right now, where you're focusing less on kills and more on turrets.
Yeah. It's insane how much they improved. Like the first blood rate actually went 100%. I think most of them was attributed by Karsa, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Karsa is an insane jungler. Alright, so yeah, it's an overall improvement, but if you want to compare these stats against, say, the other teams like G2 and even SKT, they might still need a little bit of work, especially with the first dragon rate and dragon control, I believe. Yeah.
I have a couple questions myself. Whether the fact that they're focused down on first turret so damn fast makes up for the lack of first dragon. Because the metagame, because ultimately what you want is the turrets in the first place, and the dragons tend to be constellation planets among the European teams. Now, if Flash Wolves are gaining reliably first turret and first kill, I don't know. That might explain why they have less of the dragon focus in the first place.
Yeah, my concern about the Flash Wolves right now is that what if the other teams figure out that Flash Wolves are an early game team and they actually manage to turtle into later than, say, 36 minutes into the game, and they manage to stack up the Barons over and over until they reach 5 stacks, and what will the Flash Wolves do then, right?
That's the question. Probably stop them from taking a good dragon at least. I mean, let's face it. With how short their average game times have been, it's hard to tell what the Flash Wolves going to do in the late game. Like they have been so cleanly dominant in the early and mid games that it's I don't think they've really had practice. So yeah, you're right. This is a concern. Like if there's any way to break the Flash Wolves, is to pull a frog in and just stall out for like 40 minutes at a time.
Which happened, right? Because the Flash Wolves lost to Origin because of an Anivia.
Yeah, they know that very well.
Oh gosh. And
Now, I'm not sure it's entirely safe to say that they'll just simply fall apart in the late game, though, because their map playing has been extraordinarily clean. And when we see like teams fall off in the late game, it's usually because they can't hold on to the map control to know what to do next, and then they just waste a lot of time and let the other team like farm up their carries with gold. Right? That hasn't necessarily been a problem with the Flash Wolves. I'm not sure if their playstyle allows for that kind of late game disaster to result in the first place. Because by the time they get there, they usually have a significant gold lead.
yeah, that's against like teams like I guess Supermassive, CLG. What other team do you think Flash Wolves will be able to pull off an early game win?
Um, I don't see them having a major problem dominating the early game against most of the teams we see right now.
Even
Except for,
SKT?
oh, except for SKT, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just from a lane by lane comparison. Well, we'll be going to individual players soon enough, right? But on the lane by lane comparison, they are either equal or better than pretty much everybody they face. The exception is maybe NL, but NL's made up heavily for by SwordArt.
Yeah, definitely. SwordArt is the protect the AD carry. Is the protect the AD carry. He's like the embodiment of it.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
outer star is really, really good. If you haven't seen the outer star in the playoffs, that's definitely something to watch.
Yeah, he's one of his best champions are Alistar and Fresh. So
Yeah,
yeah, you gotta keep an
he's
eye out for SwordArt.
he's really finding the tanky support meta.
Okay. Yeah. What? Moving on to the watts per minute, it may look like an improvement 3.71 and 1.71. Basically, clearing and placing, they actually improved to a certain degree, but I think comparatively, the LMS region as a whole don't really watt that much, right?
They are roughly average with most of the other regions except for Korea, and still better than China, I think.
So better in China. All right.
I think I'll have to double check. I did study this a while ago, but LMS warding averages were still better than NA at least. I think they were better than China. They were roughly equivalent with EU, and obviously Korea has everybody beat. But the number 1 and 2 Korean teams aren't actually on the top of those charts. Like CJ and a lot of the other teams, they're using wards to make up. They were, I would say, they were excessively warding even to the point where like a lot of their vision was wasting in areas that weren't going to be contested anytime soon,
Oh,
and that they would find like really limited information from. And overlapping wars also kind of hurt that as well.
all right. So
Yeah. You actually see SKT at about the middle of the pack in Korea, and Rock's Tigers all the way at the bomb. So that tells you exactly how important words are in Korea. I mean, there's no actual correlation between the success of a team and its wording patterns, unfortunately.
okay. So basically, if people buy excessive wars, they're gonna just waste money and time, I guess.
Yeah, excessive pinks especially. Because even though they're only 50 a pop now, it's still possible for you to buy like 2
Wait.
dozen and it's all the slots.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we are gonna talk about our first player, which is the top laner, not Ziv, by the way. It's MMD. It's not Ziv, sadly. And yeah. What can you say about MMD per se?
Well, he's not Ziv.
Mm. He's definitely
Like,
not Ziv.
he's not going to be able to carry the game 1v9 like Ziv would. But he is high Korean challenger. I think he was within shooting distance of the top 30.
Top 30, yeah. I have it right here. It says Korean solo queue challenger, but I don't know his ranking in the challenger. But he was near top 30.
He got high. He's in solo queue at least in the Korean environment, despite the fact that the KR to Taiwan ping is approximately 80 to 100, I think. Yeah, he's good. Like mechanically, he's fine. Now, despite this, he is amongst the lowest statistically amongst the playoffs top laners in Taiwan. But that has a lot more to do with the Flash Wolf style and how they starve out the top lane than his own mechanics.
Yeah, like I can see it's like 19% of the goal, right? Right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, he's not getting anything. He's not expected to do anything but show up tanky with a teleport in the right place and blow people up, or at least blow people towards the right people to blow them up. Which he's doing fine. Let's be fair. He's been doing that. That job has been performed quite excellently.
Okay, so basically, I heard from an interview that was recently released that he kind of claimed that he was basically the Stake 2.0, which is kind of what's happening right now, right?
I mean, it explains the gold line. It explains the fact that despite the decrease in gold percent and the only like marginal increase in damage percent, he has a KDA of 11 now compared to 4.9. Like,
Yeah, that's the 4.9 is the regular season, and the current KDA is actually the playoff KDA, which is
yeah, that's an amazing KDA for playoffs or regular season whatsoever. Like, any top laner would be glad to have that, especially with how little gold he's getting. He's been really, really effective with those teleports. The communication line between MMD and Karsa, it's been so far so good. Like
so.
I won't say it's brilliant because you can't really call a stake level player brilliant,
Okay.
but it's been good. It's been serviceable.
Okay, so champions to look out for. I've listed the all the champions that he's played throughout the regular and playoff season. Poppy, Lulu, Nautilus, Gangplank, even Graves at one point, Echo and Maokai. Who do you think is one of the best champions that he can play so far?
Right now, the meta game really, really favors this Maokai. It's almost a brain dead character. He really can't screw up too much on it. It farms pretty safely under the turret. Can't go wrong. Uh,
I
the
mean,
Echo, especially, has also proven pretty good. I'm not sure if he should really be running gameplay in this meta, but the LMS has also proven that if you can't run Maokai, you can also run Nautilus, and that's even more brain dead.
yes,
Literally point and click R.
yes. Oh my gosh. But I think Echo is pretty much going to be perma banned, right, by every single team in the MSI. Do you think that it's still overpowered in patch 6.8?
No, no, no. What we've seen in the, internationally is that Echo's dropping from the ban rates and even dropping from the pick rates, while Maokai is almost always ban or pick these days because you can't get rid of, you can't deal with the late game Maokai's stinkiness. We saw what happened to Immortals versus TSM in that game one, that triple 80 carry,
Oh my.
almost won within like 20 minutes, and then Haunter finishes third item, and suddenly
Yeah.
all that effort all wasted.
Alright, so we heard it here, guys. Maokai is broken because even Hansa can play it properly. Alright, next. Alright, but let's move on to the next player. Oh my god, our star player of the Flash Wolves. It is the jungler Karsa. And yeah, definitely he reached the Korean solo queue challenger as well. Did he reach like top 30 as well or something?
I don't know Carter's rank. I think he's actually behind him at this rate, which is
Wow.
kind of funny.
Okay, okay. I think if Karsa is actually one of the junglers that most of the international teams pay a lot of respect to. Even Immortals Reign Over gave a shout out to him because he said he really liked how Karsa plays. So yeah, let's take a look at his KDA right now. It's 9.0 from a 6.6 from the regular season, and he kind of takes a similar amount of gold to say MMD, right? It's like 20%, and he deals around what 18.5% of damage. You'd expect a star player to do a little bit more than just 18.5%. What's going on here?
Well, if you see from his list of play champions, they've mostly been assassins or like 80 carries, right? Like Kindred. Kindred, the way he plays Kindred is more of an ambusher than like a sustained 80 carry. Whereas everybody else, he's doing pick off or he's launching them into his allies, or he's simply counter jungling instead of actually like fighting with Italy. The setup for Karsa is that he's rarely operating alone. When people talk about Karsa being an amazing jungler, I think a lot of the solo queue kitties or the peanut gallery especially are thinking that, well, he must be doing people one on one a lot and winning those fights. No, that's not the secret with Karsa. No, that's really naive. It's a team game. The reason why Karsa is so damn good is because his wording patterns with SwordArt, his map control with everybody else, and his gank potential with Maple.
Maple, yeah.
Yeah, like he doesn't need to deal most of the damage as long as he sets up the enemy just in time for Maple to finish them off, and then Maple snowballs.
But setting up, when you look at the champions right here, the only champions that can really set up a gank properly is Elise, right, with crowd control, and maybe Rengar, unless you're talking about warding setups and then ganking from the side lanes.
Yeah, ganking for side lanes, warding setups. Like, technically, Nidalee can set up too. All you need to do is like land one good spear,
It's
and
more
then
than
you're done.
Yep. And by the way, Nidalee is Karsa's best champion. He's almost perma-banned in the LMS, so yeah, do take note.
It's almost, but not quite Fizz status for Westor. Almost.
Almost.
Like, the issue, of course, is that Karsa can actually play more than one or two champions, whereas Westor can't.
Come on. I'm gonna let that slide for now because they didn't make the make MSI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Moving on.
All right.
Maple. All right. You look at the list of champions he's played in LMS. All right. It's like
Yeah.
11 champions right there. Gangplank, Zed, LeBlanc, Quinn, Azir, Ryze, Lulu, Nautilus, Varus, Ari, and Ezreal.
Yeah.
Are all these meta champions? I don't think so.
They were at one point or the other. Honestly, Maple doesn't actually play out of the meta. He just plays all of the meta champions at a time very well.
Oh my gosh, he does. So, looking at the stat line, he has a 26.3 KDA in the playoffs. All right, 26.3. It's not a typo from 6.1 in the regular season. I mean, of course, it was a 3-0, and Flash Wolves kind of stomped everybody else in the playoffs. But 26 is just an insane KDA for Maple. Needless to say, Maple is a Korean solo queue challenger. I don't know how high he is. Is MMD even higher than him?
Somehow, NVD has the highest challenger rank of all the Flash Wolves, and that hasn't stopped failing to amuse me.
Okay, so needless to say, because he kills a lot of people, he gets the majority of the gold in the team. But yeah, Maple is the trump card of the team, I suppose you can say that.
Yeah.
Basically, you can compare him to even Bjergsen in TSM or something, like the like basically the core of the team.
Yeah. Maple was at one point too young for Flash Wolves, and they just suffered that era. Also, that was a really horrible few months for them. But yeah, if there is no Maple, there basically is no Flash Wolves. He is basically the insurance policy for everything they do. Even if Karsa gets beat back and can't find a gank early on, even if SwordArt and NL blow up, even if like NVIDIA reverts a couple years, there's still going to be Maple potentially pulling them over the finish line anyhow, because that Zed is really scary.
I know one person. I only know one person who Maple cannot carry to the finish line. I think that's Kramer, who took
Which is shocking because he's actually doing really well in CJ Instance now.
Yeah, he kind of ate a cocoon that even unless Maple bought a Mikhail's Crucible, he wouldn't have been able to do anything.
That's good.
Okay, notable champions for Maple because he plays so many champions, right? What other champions do you think Maple is extremely good at?
So right now the relevant ones are Zed, LeBlanc, Azir, Ryze, Lulu maybe, but Varus especially, and maybe in mid lane Ezreal. You could probably play mid lane Corki as well, because everybody can play mid lane Corki. It's not that hard. Gangplank has been an especially popular choice for the amount of wave control and map control that it offers the team. I'm not certain how it necessarily stacks up to the current metagame, but Maple makes it work anyhow.
Yeah, Maple plays the most disgusting Gangplank I've ever seen, right? When Clement actually described his barrels to be literally sticking to one another in terms of the AoE radius, he wasn't kidding, because we saw that in the playoffs where he played Gangplank and he just burst the barrel and then placed another one just right at the edge and just crit everybody to death. That was,
Yep.
that was oh. And let's not forget that Maple actually turned the game against the Cool Tigers around with Gangplank as well, right? The barrels actually caught the Cool Tigers off guard, and they actually managed to turn the game around from there. They were actually losing at that point.
The interesting thing to know about Maple though is that he's supposed more of a control mage specialist than he is with assassin slices and block. But his scariest champion during the playoffs was definitely by far the Zed, right? So
Yes.
like supposedly it takes him about 100 games more to fully master assassin champion than it would for him to get equivalent skill on a control mage. But he is the number one mid laner in Taiwan because he puts the work in to make sure he can master both. Like the Westor.
Okay, come on. You know that a mid laner is good when he can beat both Chowie and Westor at the same time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he is that good. He puts in the effort. Right. Next, our resident ADC NL. He seems to be the only one in the team who is currently diamond in solo queue. But hey, come on. He did pull off a very flashy pentakill during the playoffs against Marchi M17, right? So does that kind of redeem him from being balls of LMS?
I would describe Eno as SwordArt's personal attack puppy.
Oh,
In that he's really enthusiastic, he's really aggressive, he sometimes charges into fights he can't win. But since he's a
oh,
puppy, he still has room to grow. I don't think I think that Eno with a little bit more tempering would be quite fine. But there's a reason why he's so far showed the best performances on long range champions like Ezreal, like Caitlyn.
I actually do recall one of the fights against the Cool Tigers. I think it was the second match against the Cool Tigers, where NL actually went hit first into the jungle, into like what, four people of the rocks of the Cool Tigers, and it he didn't die because Stake was there to overgrow him. Otherwise, he would have died.
Yeah,
But
that's
and
Eno.
they ended up winning that fight because NL decided to go in like a madman and catch Cool Tigers off guard. Because Cool Tigers, if okay, any sane person who sees a Lucian dash towards you and it's like what, four people, you're gonna jump on him, right? But
Right.
NL just didn't die. Oh my gosh.
So it's only half jokingly that we describe Flashwell's playstyle as basically offering Eno up as bait. Like, obviously you're going to attack the AD carry. If the AD carry presents himself to you, you're obviously going to focus him. But suddenly the AD carry is not the main threat.
Yeah.
He's just stepped out of position to handle something that they didn't actually care about.
Oh gosh. Actually, NL was very fortunate that Maple got rid of Prey before that fight. Otherwise, he would have died anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Our second star player of the team. Or is it third one already? I think there are too many stars in this team.
This is definitely the third. The trifecta is definitely Karsa, Maple, and SwordArt.
Yeah. All right. So this is our third one. SwordArt. Obviously, he's Korean solo queue challenger because he knows how to protect his ADCs.
He has extensive experience with protecting ADCs.
Yeah, he has so much experience protecting ADCs. Okay, so KDA for a support, mind you, for a support is 16.2 from 7.1 in the regular season. How does a support get so much KDA?
Well, it's mostly in the A.
Yeah, it's mostly in the A, I guess. But yeah, like you said, his best champions right now are Fresh and Alistar, and we already touched on that previously, so we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, you look at the amount of gold he has like what, 10.9%, and he doesn't take much to be really effective. So yeah, he kind of made the first big play against the Cool Tigers in the World Championships as well. The Flash are from Morgana, at the bot lane. Yeah, so this guy, he has his own Legends Rising series. If you want to catch it, re-watch it again, do spend some time to watch it. It's great. Okay, so we're done with the team, but we want to have one honorary mention in the Flash Wolves, and it's actually the Flash Wolves sub ADC. His name is Breeze, and he's currently in the solo queue, Korean solo queue Masters. Right, he's not exactly challenger yet, but he seems to be a better. He seems to be a better player than NL. Why? Okay, but NL actually played all of the games during the playoffs in the LMS. So, do you think that there's a chance that Breeze might be able to play in the MSI?
I would be surprised if he didn't. This is the guy they've effectively been training as NL's replacement for a while. Not necessarily a hard replacement, but Breeze has a more balanced playstyle. Now, the few times that we did see him with the Flash Wolves were in the first couple opening weeks when the Flash Wolves were doing really badly. And that also had a lot to do with the fact that Breeze is frankly not as experienced as NL in tournament environments and under pressure. So the fact that he's smashed solo queue honestly doesn't mean much. Let's not forget that Balls' best modern performance was when he was Diamond 2 in Korea.
Yeah. Is this a worrying trend? Okay, Breeze.
Yeah, I don't really have a grasp on Breeze yet because he's shown up on stage so little. And honestly, until you're on stage, all your practices and all your solo queues don't actually matter. The stage will actually distill whether or not you're a tournament-worthy player.
It kind of seems like Breeze has been training with the team more than NL did, though. Some sources have been telling me, but I'm really not sure. It is possible that Breeze will be playing in the MSI, but I think chances are still kind of slim.
I wouldn't be surprised if he is, in fact, their main substitute, especially if NL starts to suffer, because they know that NL is their weakest point.
So all we need is NL to eat a cocoon against COG, right?
Yeah, that would do it. Although,
okay, if
no, what I would
Xmithy...
do, what I would do in the Flash Wolves place would be to run Breeze first, honestly, and see how he stacks up under international pressure. Because the moment that he cracks, then NL can take over, see what Breeze did wrong, and have more reason to play a more tempered style.
They kind of Flash Wolves kind of play the G2 first, right? That's the first game. Do you think Breeze would be able to stack up against, say, what's his name again? Emperor. Okay, fine. I think that's fine. Emperor is like okay.
Emperor's okay. I wouldn't consider Emperor the best ADC in Europe, which doesn't say much because Europe has a lot of stacked ADCs this split actually. The main thing I worry about is hybrid, honestly.
Hybrid. Yeah. Okay, so do you think that Flash Wolf should put Breeze against Emperor in the first game?
Not the first game. No. It matters too much.
It matters too much.
We need to stop being a region that loses the first game and then rallies afterwards.
That literally happens in Worlds, and we actually managed to get our teams to the playoffs, which was...
Now imagine how we would do if we had the confidence going into the rest of the series from a strong day one.
I think that... Actually, I think that the LMS region has to lose the first two games in order to suddenly wake up and...
We don't know what would happen if we won the first day. We've never done that.
Okay. So, at least we can change things when we win the first day, I suppose. But,
I just want us a couple more points just for safety's sake. We need that number one seed. No, screw losing the first game. I want more.
Oh, the number one seed is okay. I kind of have the idea that LMS is probably definitely gonna get one, but that's just me. All right, so we have a player summary here. We have the teams and the damage distribution. As you can see, the Flash Wolves actually funnel a lot of their resources into NL as well as Maple. You see, as you can see, NL doesn't make more use of the gold. He doesn't do as much damage as, say, Maple does, but they still do a fair amount of damage, right?
Yeah, he's only off by 3 points, which honestly could be like the difference of a couple crits versus the burst.
Yeah, it's not by much also. So yeah, so basically, if you are going to face the Flash Wolves, you know who to target, Maple and NL. Except that SwordArt and Karsa won't let you do that ever.
And MND usually comes in with the tank.
Yeah, if MMD has a Maokai, you're pretty much not gonna touch Maple and NL. You can touch NL. You can touch NL because he's there for you to touch, and then the rest will clean up after that, right?
Yep.
Alright, so that's the Flash Wolves. They play a very jungle mid style, but then they will funnel a lot of resources into the AD carry, and they will take turrets and stuff like that.
Yep.
Alright.
The noble thing to know, the noble thing to measure the Flash Wolves with, is that the mid lane and jungle, especially, and the Taiwanese scene, are probably the most competitive out of the major region. Well, no, I can't really say that.
You can't say that now. It used to be because Mountain used to be really good in the Cinderhawk meta, but
No, I'm not even thinking about Mountain. No, screw Mountain. The fact that he got Magic into finals was just pure fluke. Refrain is a much better jungler. What's his name from Machi is a better jungler.
alright.
But yeah, but Karsa has actually had legitimate challengers in the jungle of this split, and he still thrived as number one, like without a doubt. Like I will say that Refrain comes close, but Refrain is copying Karsa style, who's copying Win style, and both of them were former Flash Wolves anyhow, so they're all
Okay, all the good junglers all came from the Flash Wolves. Take notes, guys. Flash Wolves churn out good junglers.
yeah.
Alright.
And
So.
this is not something that I feel as confident about in regards to North American and European junglers. Like, have you seen them play? Oh,
Oh, yeah, yeah. You mean
Things are weird.
Xmithy? You mean Reignover?
Overall, I'll give a little respect because considering he's managed to dominate two continents in a row.
I guess,
like,
yeah.
you have to respect that.
Yeah, yeah,
But the fact
definitely.
is, he's done it mainly by being balls to the wall aggressive, and the rest of the people he's played against have mostly been slackers in comparison. Now you see that kind of aggression from coming out from Refrain, but Refrain's not going to lose to Karsa, not going to win against Karsa. Like Karsa knows how to deal with that.
Alright. So, how do you think Karsa would stack up against, say, Blank? Or is Veggie even gonna play in this patch?
He's better than both of them. Like we know that for a fact. Like, the scary thing about SKT isn't a jungler by any means at all.
But it's a jungler centric meta right now, right? So,
Yeah.
Flash Wolves?
Which is why I'm not actually completely dismissing the possibility of Flash Wolves beating SKT this year. It's just that the faker factor is impossible to actually calculate. It's like trying to divide by zero.
Oh, divide by 0. Okay, so I think that's the end of my slideshow, but hang on. Let me just put this on. We can talk about the Flash Wolves, how they can because it's not just the players that we're talking about, right? We can also talk about their coaches and how they function as a whole. Uh, can you provide a little bit of insight on how the Flash Wolves are currently functioning, like their coaches, analysts, and stuff like that?
So, Stake is famously now their coach, although they still haven't gotten rid of Fluence. I think Fluence is more of an analytical coach anyhow. And Stake is more of the behavioral coach, right? He's the unofficial leader of the pack, right? The alpha that doesn't actually get to play anymore. But you still see the afro like roaming around the stage during the broadcast, which is hilarious. It never fails to amuse me.
Alright.
But yeah, that's the main structure. They have, just like with AHQ, they moved an X player down to a supportive coaching role, and they still have a full-time analyst as well. It's actually kind of the inverse of HQ though, because HQ's head coach isn't a player, whereas their analyst Green Tea is.
Okay, so we got a little bit of insight. Green Tea versus Fluid Winds, or is Green Tea versus Steak?
It's more versus Fluence, I think. But Fluence notably has led multiple Taiwanese teams to like championship titles.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's a very good.
what I notice about the Flash Wolves and their playstyle is that they always seem to be able to outdraft their opponents.
Yeah.
Is it something that do you think it's something to do with the analysts as well as the players being able to play the champions required for these strategies?
So the way it works is that approximately like these are just like made up numbers, but about 75% of a pick ban strategy is on the coaches and outlets, and 25% player input, depending on the team. With Origins, like more like 100% players, and about the first 5 or 10 minutes, the opening plays of a team is about 50% outlets and coaches and about 50% players. Because this is all the stuff they can prepare beforehand that you have the notes ready for and that you can practice relentlessly. It's only when it's about mid game later that it's like 100% players and the coaches and outlets just kind of have to gnaw on their fingertips and pray to God.
Yeah. So, but
So if you see Flash Wolves outdrafting teams, it's definitely because of Blue wins the stake.
yeah, but you also need the players to be able to play the champions required for the team composition to make, right?
That's
To make
also
it
a
work.
fluent mistake to understand the players well enough to make that
Ah, right. Okay, so what was I so going to talk about next? Hang on. Yeah, the team comps that they are capable of running, the Flash Wolves. I do know that they are really good at poke comps, and siege comps, but pick comps I'm not so sure. I think pick comps are more of an AHQ specialty, right?
I used to think this as well, but then they beat HQ repeatedly in the past with pick comps.
All right, how about 1-3-1 split push?
They're fine with that.
Yeah,
Anything to do with map play, Flash was just fine. I don't think there's any strategic weaknesses they have, except that they can't be playing like solely ADC reliant. Like you shouldn't be putting Mako on supportive mid laners like Lulu.
yeah, but so far Maple hasn't played Lulu, so it's still fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is that one weakness, and that if you can't expect Mako to play a supportive mid laner, then that does set out some options in terms of the compositions they can play. But I also don't think that these compositions in particular are actually all that competitive in the current meta. Like you want to have multiple threats across multiple lanes to dilute the responses that they're able to pull out versus your split push.
Okay, so that's the team comps right there. They're gonna Flash Rules are probably gonna outdraft everybody, including SKT, I suppose.
I wouldn't
But
quite say it that far.
no, no.
But we should know that the Taiwanese meta game has traditionally suffered from poor pick bans on the international stage. Like even Flash Wolves have shown that tendency. As recently as last year, they still won because they're really freaking talented kids. But overall, I think we're a little too specialized in fighting each other. Like the fact that we only have 8 teams and only 4 that you really need to prepare for at any time kind of weakens our ability to develop a strong pick ban strategy.
All right. So I do have to say that even if SKT gets outdrafted, they are probably still gonna pull off a win somehow because they are SKT.
Faker factor, man.
Yeah.
Like you saw that game with Cassiopeia. Like they were losing that fight until Faker turned in. It was just purple rain all over them, and the whole team melted.
What?
Whatever, man. Whatever. How did you even get there? How did you get that close to them without losing a single chunk of your health bar?
Oh
Did they
my.
not see you?
No, they most definitely saw him because they all turned to stone in the Kindred ult.
They saw him too late. They saw him way too late, and they clicked towards him instead of just firing a skill shot over, off the back.
Yeah, so SKT, man. SKT. Alright, so, okay, speaking of all of these teams, I'm gonna give my ranking, per se, of the MSI. I think that SKT is still gonna be on the top. I am really mixed with Flash Wolves and G2, so I'm gonna say that the second place would be both Flash Wolves and G2 because I really don't know. The teams play a really similar style, so I'm not very sure. And the fourth place, I'm gonna pick a Royal here. Royal has actually shown up over the last few days, the last few games in the playoffs, and it is definitely possible that Royal actually is still can fight for the second place spot as well. So
The thing about Row is I was trying to write out like the post game summary for PvP Live, right? I actually haven't finished yet because it's been a pain in the ass to actually watch it. I don't see what everybody's seeing. Like when I watch the Row versus EDG game, I'm mostly seeing Edward Gaming making huge mistakes that are feeding into Xiao Hu instead, and I don't know why they're making them. Like the most notable problem especially was when they were baited out into it was on EDG's side, red side, by the first turret, which was already taken down. And they were baited into the jungle by MLXG, right? MLXG died. And then they decided that since it was going to be a 5v4 instead, they turned on Royal, right, into the turret, which turned into Sun Disk, which turned into Xiao Hu jumping into them and like using Emperor's Device to toss them all under the turret.
Yeah.
And I'm asking myself, did they not see that coming?
Apparently not. Apparently not.
It has been whole minutes since Xiao Hu was last seen using Emperor's Divide, if he even used Emperor's Divide before that point. The Sun Disk maybe wasn't that much of a threat alone. But the fact that Azure was there with the ultimate waiting for them, and they had already blown cooldowns on MLXG, suggests to me that it was more ADG's fault for losing that series than the Royal actually doing anything special to win it. Because it looked impressive. But amongst the range of options available to them, and amongst what they knew of what they had available to their own kits at that time, did that actually seem like it was Royal's credit or EDG's blame? And that's something I've seen like throughout the entire series as well. So I might be the exception here in thinking that Royal is simply not that good. It's just EDG was horrible.
Alright. But AHQ and EDG have been screaming each other, right?
That's no help to AHQ.
So maybe AHQ should look for better scrim partners. I don't know where they're gonna find one because I don't think the Korean teams want to scrim Taiwan teams.
No, they have.
They have, but not the top tier, right?
Rock Tigers used to scrim against Flash Wolves.
They did? Alright,
Yeah,
I did not know
that's
that.
right. Okay, I might have mentioned this once or twice, but I know for a fact it was also a video from the HQ. No, not the HQ. One of the Taiwanese teams at the time was complaining about how hard it was to get scrims out of Taipei Assassin at the time. I think it was during the earliest part of the Spring LMS 2015 season. Taipei Assassins were actually at the top for like a couple weeks before like Flash Wolves like suddenly jumped to the front, and then HQ had a slow burn up. And apparently, it was much harder to get a scrim for Taipei Assassins than it was with the #1 team in Korea at the time.
Aha. That I did not know.
Yeah.
Alright.
So that kind of pissed everybody off to the Taipei Assassins.
That doesn't matter, they're no longer called the Taipei Assassins, they're
J Gaming.
J Gaming.
With Jay still on the team. Why?
You can't expect J to fire J, right?
No, you can't. Screw that.
Alright. So I had Royal picked at 4th place and CLG at 5th place. How far off am I?
I won't say that's that far off. I just flipped it to myself.
Is it? Do you not think because of what you said earlier that Royal just kind of capitalized on EDG's mistakes, that CLG can also do that against Royal?
I'm not saying that you'll flip CLG with Royal in the rankings. I just put Royal below.
Oh, you put Royal as it Royal. You mean that the LPL won't get first seed?
I don't think Royal actually knows how to play macro games. I don't think anybody in the LPL actually does, and that is CLG's like one main strength, that they will find a way to put Darshan at their nexus.
Oh right, Darshan. That's CLG's star player other than Afro.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, individually, I don't think CLG has any like particularly mechanically gifted players except for Darshan. But the way that they play the map makes it really hard for a Chinese team to respond. Because you're not going to be able to fight them. The whole strength behind Royal was picking fights out nowhere, right? And like sometimes losing them. And the time they sent Wux with Twitch right into a 1v4 expected to win that fight. just because it was an ambush. No, that didn't
Surprise!
work. Oh, no. Once he survived that fight, it was his teammates that died in his place.
Yeah, he didn't die, but you know his teammates all died in the end as
It
well.
was a horrible ambush. No,
Gosh.
you usually want your teammates a lot closer rather than just sending one guy in.
Which brings to the point that do you think Twitch will actually see play in the MSI because all of a sudden Twitch suddenly appeared in even LCK and the LPL during the finals?
It's the perfect ADC if you want a poke comp, but I don't personally see a reason why you would run Twitch if you're going to have Lucian open or Caitlyn or Sivir. Well, Sivir's not going to be open. She's probably going to be permanent banned.
Alright, so Maokai permaban, Silver permaban. Riot, please fix your patches properly.
It's honestly not that bad. They're not permanent banned because they're OP. They're permanent banned because of what they offer to a team.
Yeah, okay. Alright, and surprise, surprise, Supermassive Esports is gonna be the last one in my rankings.
Now, this is the scary thing, though. We might yet again have Flash Wolves losing to the wildcard team.
Is that possible? Because I think they learned their lesson.
It actually is possible because the super massive style is to just target the ADC in the mid laner, regardless of anything else. They will kill the ADC in the mid laner, and everything else is just kind of sword or whatever.
Mm-hmm,
But since that's the majority of the gold on the Flash Wolves, if that happens during a bad fight, we might lose like 4 or 5 towers off of it.
Okay, so
Again.
so you're gonna say that the group stage will end up like this, like what Fusilero said before. It would be SKT 9-1 because they lost to the Flash Wolves, and Supermassive Esports 1-9 because they beat the Flash Wolves.
The fact that this has been sort of an Elvis tradition is kind of hilarious.
Okay, I don't know what Monte Cristo will have to say about that because he has been really confused about the Flash Wolves in Worlds, and I think if this happens again, he's still gonna be very confused.
Everybody's confused. Even the Flash Wolves are confused. Why does this keep happening to us?
Alright, so
Sure, we can take out the Rocks Tigers 2-0, okay, but when it comes to
paying
a bunch of
gaming.
random Brazilian teams, so sure, we'll just fall apart.
Well, I was really happy to see BKT almost beating the EDG, but then you know when my friends told me that BKT was probably gonna win, I told him, "Do you even watch BKT play? They're probably gonna throw at some point."
Wait another 5 minutes and then you'll
Okay,
see.
unless EDG surrenders at 20 minutes, BKT is going to throw the game. That's what they do, and well, you don't see BKT in the MSI for a reason. They didn't even get to the Invitational.
Not this time.
Alright, so that's my rankings. Obscurica, do you have a have a difference in opinions on the rankings?
Not really, but the G2 ranking is definitely the hardest thing to predict for Flash Wolves. Like we're about like 90% sure we lose to SKT. We're 90% confident that we can beat CLG because we have the better map play anyhow, and that's the only strength. So it boils down to individual strengths, and we have that to our advantage. I'm pretty sure that RNG won't go very far, but when it comes to G2, it's really hard to tell. Like Europe has traditionally kicked our asses pretty hard. Let's admit it. Like we just have to swallow pride and admit that.
Yeah.
Last year, they had our number pretty hard. Even
Oh, yeah, you're cutting out. Hang on. But the last sentence, please.
Okay, so we had to swallow pride and admit that last year, even the Koreans didn't have our number as hard as Europeans did. We got clocked hard by them.
Yeah.
And I'm not so certain whether or not G2 will like be our kryptonite or like be our redemption for that.
Well, I do have a bet on the line with Guess that Flash Wolves won't make to the finals, but I'm hoping I'll be most happy.
I think that this is the one year where everybody else is saying, you know what, you guys have a chance.
Yeah, for the MSI title, not the world title. Not again, anyway.
Well, even this is a really competitive MSI. Like this is inarguably probably the most competitive MSI we have.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, except for the champion, of course. That's sad. Okay, so we have your rankings is SKT number 1, G2 number 2, or are you gonna stick with my plan of keeping Flash Wolves and G2 at number 2?
Like with the majority consensus, including Dexter, I'm putting G2 and Flash Wolves tied right now.
Alright, and then it will be CLG in 4th place, and RNG at 5th place, and Supermassive Esports at 1:9, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, 1:9. Technically, if the Flash Wolves lose to Supermassive Esports, they're automatically in the 3rd place position, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because like no other team's gonna lose to Supermassive Esports, and mathematically speaking, that would make Flash Wolves the 3rd place. That means that
That
G2
would depend on whether or not GT drops a game from sheer inexperience, because notably they have no international experience whatsoever as a team.
Alright. So, any other last opinions you wanna talk about Flash Wolves, or maybe like the other teams that Flash Wolves are going to face?
If Flash Wolves are going to beat SKT, especially if they get anywhere close to the finals, Karsa's going to have to work his ass off to camp the fuck out Faker. Because I am a little worried about Bang, but I'm not so worried about Wolf, right? Like it's the inverse of the Flash spot lane, in that the ADC for SKT is probably one of the best in the world, but the support guy sucks. Whereas for us, the ADC guy sucks, but the support is probably easily considered one of the best in the world as well. And honestly, the support kind of defines the bottom lane. So when it comes to late game, I can see Flash Wolves dealing with Bank's positioning because this is not an ADC patch. But I don't see how they can handle Faker without like making sure he's stopped early and mid game as well. And that pretty much puts all of the emphasis on Karsa and Maple.
Is Maple actually going to be able to solo kill Faker? Because we've seen Westor do that a couple of times.
The trick is not solo killing Faker. The trick is keeping Faker irrelevant throughout the game.
Yeah.
Like Faker will give up a kill if he thinks he can recover from it later on. Like he's chosen like deliberately poor matchups, like Rise into anything.
Alright, so
You don't care about early game Rise.
Yeah.
You care about what Rise becomes 15 minutes later.
holy crap, let's not let Faker get Rise again.
No.
Alright, so that's pretty much it. Now that you've heard the facts as well as our opinion, please do let us know yours in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, do let us know which team we should cover next, hopefully before MSI starts. And thank you very much for watching.
I just have one thing to add. Download the PvP Live app. That's my workplace now. That's how I make my money.
Alright, I'm gonna download it.
Work.
Alright. PvP app, guys.
PvP
And-
Live.
Yeah,
Live.
PvP Live. Alright, so yeah. Subscribe to my channel as well. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.